There's an ancient unwritten law, which is 100 your own council, 300 your own courts, 600 your own country. This image here is to show us what I spoke about earlier when you have a good man or woman running for local or national government. You have the sovereign living men and women, and you have that good sovereign living man or woman pitching his sales pitch to the public, because he's going to get into government and make a change, make a difference. But he never gets there, because as we spoke about earlier, once you get into that position, you're a corporation. And a corporation sees us as persons with rights qualified under acts, and we have no say. That's why it never worked. The Albion is a very unique place in the world. We see the Albion as the heart shack of the world. We say that the crown shield corrupted the heart shack of the world. And the Albion shield that we're bringing forward corrects that. It's the heart shack that corrected. We have 4 national instruments. If you look at them, they represent the 2 ventricles and the 2 atriums of the heart. We have 4 national animals and we have 4 national emblems. Equal representation of the 4 nations. Tony read the Declaration of Birmingham, which was read for the first time by Naheed when we established the Albion Council, 15th June 2023. Claim in the public domain. Here's Albion. The England Community Council, first established on the 27th of September 2024. There's England's position on the Albion Shield. Cymru Community Council in Co-op established on the 28th of September 2024. Cymru's position in the Albion Shield. Alba, 7th December 2024. Alba Council in Co-op on the Albion Shield. ERA Community Council. And then we start working. We make the macro claim, and then we start making the micro claims. We condense the claims. The more you condense and concentrate the claim, the stronger the claim is. The complete opposite of what the cabal want. They want to rule from above over everything. When of course, the people and the people of the community must have the ultimate say in their communities. We reseated the National Economic Council. We established Health Services ERA Co-op and Education ERA. All these organisations must be properly constituted, properly established, with their own manifesto and their own code of conduct. As I said, they must be AAA organisations for them to work. They can never take corporate donations, they can never take injections from the system. AAA, organisation must be authentic. The authority of the organisation is in the seats and the seals, and the people that occupy the seats must be altruistic. And what's done cannot be undone. There's the flag of Health Services ERA. I mentioned last year in my talk in the Mansion House how we had salvaged 19 flags for the sovereign nation state of ERA in the UPU. Flags mark position. Flags are very important. We saw and we heard Lady Crown talk about the 10-foot by 10-foot flag that was hoisted the day outside this hotel. That's the constitution of Education here. And then we get into the real work. Then we get into where it's really important, the communities. I always say that the threat comes at local governments, not at national governments. That's a farce, it's a charade. Where they hurt us and where the damage is done is what they impose at local level. And how do they do it? Well, we saw how they do it with the elected representatives. But once those elected representatives get into the council chambers, they lose their voice. And that means the people of the community lose their voice. So everything that's proposed to be imposed on communities after these election or selection process, the community have no say really. This is the purpose of community councils. The community council is about knowing how to say no. So that when a community council is properly established, it's able to communicate to the local corporate government and the local elected representative and say, congratulations on your position and your job, and well done. But please note, please be on notice, that anything from here on in, since the establishment of these community councils, anything proposed for this community must be on notice to the council, so that the council can take the votes of the sovereign people of that mapped territorial community area. And a flag. Every community will have its own flag. And that's the mapped territorial area. This is what we've been missing. The pieces of the jigsaw is the map. Because to set jurisdiction, you must map it. That's what they do. If we don't map it and claim a higher jurisdiction, well, then it's just in the ether. I think most of us know that the spiritual battle is won. But we must imprint the third dimension. And to do that, it's on paper. We must put that claim of a higher jurisdiction on paper. Here's Uqtarar, the 2nd of November 2024, with their map and their flag. Another piece of the jigsaw. Ballyshannon, Donegal Town, 30th of November. Flag and map. Castlelina. Tony was visiting us after we came back after the establishment of the Albion Community Council in Cork. On the 14th of December 2024, we travelled up to Castlelina. Cole Community Hall. I'm telling this little story just to let you all know how possible this is. There was maybe 10 people in that room who didn't really know why they were there, didn't really understand what was going on, but they just knew that what their community was being threatened with they didn't like, and they were hoping that something could be done about it. And we managed to successfully establish the Castlelina Community Council on the 14th of December. A town with a population of maybe 1,000 people. And now 3 months later, they have 150 members, 15% of the population. All those 150 members have to do now is get one more member each. And then they have critical mass of 300. And then they have, within natural law and the ancient and written law, the authority to establish their own courts. I've had these discussions in the last couple of months with High Court judges. I've had these exchanges. The job I have to do in the courts is a double-edged sword, because it's relatively easy to get cases against you dismissed if you challenge jurisdiction. But I have to walk the walk, and I must stay on the path. So in a recent exchange, Justice Nolan, he asked me, will you accept an order from this court? And I said, I don't know what kind of order you have in mind, but I'm participating in a process to get to the full truth. Because he wanted the case out, because we're trouble. And then he said, are you trying to say black is white and white is black? I said, I'm not. Black is black and white is white. But he said, are you challenging these courts? I said, I'm not. I said, I'm merely here to establish the fact of the jurisdiction of these courts. Because it appears to me that they're deficient in protecting private property rights. for the sovereign people of this land. So they know that community courts and county courts are coming. And these courts are not for squabbles, not for bickering between the people. They are for the communities to be able to lawfully say no, to know how to say no. Westport, another piece of the jigsaw. Ballybofey, Glenties, Inishowen South, Inishowen North, on the 8th of February. Donegal is on fire. All pieces of the jigsaw. All pieces of the jigsaw of the land of Era. Only two more pieces of the jigsaw for Donegal. I'll make a brave boast and say that Crossmalina will be the first community court in the land of Era, and Donegal will be the first county court. Sligo County. Map and flag. And what does it mean? Well, this is what it means. The assumptions and presumptions no longer affect. You get your pure paperwork positioned and the putrid paperwork falls. Their law where they claim the land, the air and the water falls. It's a paper battle. They make assumptions and presumptions on paper. We must reject and reset those assumptions and presumptions. What does it mean for all these legislation, acts, statutes, rules, regulations? Well, to use their language, non-a factum, not my document. To recap then, because I know you're all tired of listening to me drone on, everybody wants to go to the bar, especially here. So the cabal controls slavery, all the elements of it. It's what they want. They want to see us as citizens defined in the Black's Law Dictionary. Or to put it in a condensed presentation, Mr. or Mrs. surname person as restricted private property. You could actually summarise the whole of this presentation into that. And what a republic recognises, the republic recognises sovereignty. And all the good that goes with that. Or, to say that simply, sovereign living men and women as respected private property. This is how the community councils will work in the co-ops. This is how we give the power to the elected representatives, the good ones. We give them a voice. The community elects its council. The council must gain knowledge. The council must have sufficient knowledge to offer that knowledge to the people and get the people's say on matters affecting their community, and then offload that knowledge to the elected representative in the corporate world, so that whatever they are proposing to impose, if the community don't want it, the community won't suffer it. As Barra said, ni nacht go cor le céile. And the third sister, you were waiting for her, Fola, to go hand in hand with the Fuela. For those of you that might know, that image over those community councils is a Fuela. In old Irish folklore, they were protectors of community and children. So we have our three sisters of sovereignty here, the three ancient sisters of this land, Eru, Banva and Fola. And it's the Fola with the sword of sovereignty together with the Fuela is how we win this. Thank you all for listening.